conversion to lose by a half point in a decided game. It's one of the meanest things Doug Peterson's ever done in his entire life to whoever bet Seattle. Oh, my God.
That being said, let's match pictures to Nick's words. We're in Philly, Eagles and Seahawks, birds and other birds. Only one type heading south. Carson Wentz again trying to prove his starter status, again coming up short, another interception, adding to his league-leading total. He was also sacked 6 times. His backup, Jalen Hurts, saw just 2 plays last night. We'll have much more on him in just a second. But first, Eagles get the win. Here's Carson Wentz after last night's loss to Seattle.
There's kind of been a lot of talk and speculation, about you possibly getting benched or something like that. I mean, does that weigh on you at all? Do you think about that at all? And did that occur during the game? Any of that come up?
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week. This is what you sign up for. As a quarterback, ever since you're a kid, you're prepared for any of those. Nothing's ever guaranteed. And so for me, I don't think about that though. I just try and go out and be the best player I can be in practice, prepare my tail off, compete my tail off, and hopefully we can get this thing turned around. But I don't think about those things. I'm going to give it everything I got every time I step on the field.
I think I said the Eagles won. Obviously, the Seahawks won there, and Carson Wentz with a barrage of questions about his playing time, playing status, playing all of it. Brandon, I'll start with you. Did Carson Wentz play well enough to keep his starting job moving forward?
Well, I mean, that Hail Mary was nice. I mean, how often do we see that in the National Football League? But outside of that Hail Mary, no, he didn't play well. The coaches didn't coach well. Defense didn't play well enough. This is one of those years, Nick, where everybody needs to be on notice. When you play like this in this division, everyone should be on notice. And then you can go back the last couple years outside of their Super Bowl run. It's always been a struggle for this organization. If I'm the owner, I am looking at everything. I'm looking at the general managers. There's other gaps. There's other holes on this team. It's not just Carson Wentz. It's also the linebacking core. And it's not that the linebacking core isn't playing well. They're just not very good. They don't have any depth. So with that in mind, you got to talk about who's making those decisions, and you got to hold them accountable. So this entire organization, Nick, should be on notice.
Listen, I think Mike Garafolo is the one who reported it this morning that he can no longer report that Doug Peterson is totally safe, despite being just 3 years removed from actually winning a Super Bowl, something Carson Wentz is not able to say he did. What that means for Ira Roseman in the front office, we'll see. And you're right, Brandon. This is a team that has a multitude of issues. But their biggest issue is this. In 2020, they have the worst starting quarterback in football. Now, that's not a statement of opinion. That's just, according to the numbers, we can show them, the worst full-time starting quarterback in the NFL is Carson Wentz. And the stats back that up 100%. He's 35th or worse in everything, and there's only 32 teams, folks. And he is a turnover machine. He runs into sacks. He doesn't make the big throws anymore. There's been one game all year long that he didn't turn the ball over. And in that game, he fumbled twice. They just happened to recover them. So it does feel, however, Wilds, like Carson Wentz might be the one with the most job security because of the contract he's been signed to. But based on performance, you have a guy that's going to be 28 this month. He's in year 5, and he's playing the worst football of his career. That is a more than ominous sign for his future.
But do you think that's all of his fault, Nick? Because every morning I wake up and I make a little menu, and I call my kitchen where I do my work the Hot Take Cafe. And on today's menu, here's what we had. And you can make your choice, everyone. You can have bad coaching with a side of bad play design. You can have bad decision making with a side of bad throws. You can have bad wide receivers and bad protection. Those are your options at the Hot Take Cafe. For me, I went with bad protection. I went with the 6 sacks were not his fault. The league-leading 46 sacks, Also not his fault. He also had some throwaways there. And I was watching the game last night, Nick, and I was like, ooh, the one when he was chased out of the pocket and to avoid an intentional grounding, he threw it to the first down, even though he came up short. I was like, whoa, that's a good play. That's a quarterback you can build around. I'm like, what is happening? I'm calling a throw to save an intentional grounding a good play. And you could say, like, don't put it all on the offensive line. But Louis Riddick mentioned it last night when they went to the Super Bowl. Best offensive line, surprise, surprise. Take out Carson Wentz, put in Nick Foles, doesn't matter. So to me, it starts with the offensive line. I know there's a lot of side dishes, but it's an offensive line thing for me.
100%. Wow, 10 different lineups, 10 different offensive line lineups. Like, come on.
Seems like a lot.
So yes, Carson Wentz is playing bad, Jenna, but when you have problems on the O-line and then problems at the wide receiver position, what do you expect? Of course they're going to look bad. But Carson Wentz, he does have to take ownership, and he has to play better.
And then just quickly, you have to wonder, he's not that far removed from when he had his great season. You wonder if that was, the outlying year or the last two. All right, let's move on. There was a report that came out before the game that Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie told the coaching staff to play Jalen Hurts, backup Jalen Hurts, if Carson Wentz struggled. Well, Carson Wentz, he struggled. But Hurts saw just 2 plays last night. To the surprise of nobody, head coach Doug Peterson was asked about his quarterback situation. Take a listen.
Just kind of like the difference, I guess, between, Carson being on and off the field when Hurts is in the game.
Listen, when Jalen's been on the field with Carson, defenses have been playing it a certain way. And as we have evaluated, those two together, putting Jalen on the field by himself, presents a little bit different picture for the defense. So that's why we did it. That's why we did it tonight. But I think we can still get some mileage out of using both quarterbacks, and then also Jalen as the quarterback, by himself.
I got 2 issues. Number 1, that was a 3-second delay between when the question was finished being asked and when he answered it. It was like the weight of the world as a sigh. And number 2, he didn't exactly answer the question. But, Brandon, what do you think about the way Doug Peterson used those 2 quarterbacks last night?
Well, first of all, the way he's handling these press conferences, we need to address that first. Like, come on, man, you're a pro. You're the head coach of in the National Football League. You won a Super Bowl, and you did it with style points and in fashion. Like, bro, understand how to address the media. You know those questions are coming. You know that. You're prepped before you go up there. You know what they're going to ask you. Just stand up there like a man and answer the question. That's first and foremost. I'm tired of seeing Doug Peterson sit up there and not answer questions or feel like, oh, my goodness, why are they asking me these questions? They're asking the questions because you got 33 on the other side. When we sit down and we scheme and we game plan, we're like, oh, this guy's going to be marked red because he is an all-pro type player. You have a guy marked in purple. This guy is a Pro Bowl player. Then you got a guy that may be marked in yellow, like this is just a guy. And then there's another color, maybe it's black, and it's like he shouldn't be in the National Football League. So we're looking at this guy in red. How does he have 2 sacks? Why don't we have a game plan for him? So first and foremost, it should start with Doug Peterson. But the game plan last night, to answer your question with these 2 quarterbacks, like you can't straddle the fence. It's either you're going to bench the guy or you're going to play, your backup. So when you have a franchise quarterback in the face of your franchise, you don't play around with it. So it seems like this organization doesn't know where to go because, Nick, this contract is hard to get out of. So if you move forward, then you're really going to take on a lot of debt, and that's an issue.
Brandon, they know where to go. They just can't go there. They know the road to go down, but it's closed to them because they gave Carson Wentz a premature contract extension. You want Carson Wentz off the team? $60 million of dead cap next year. You want him off the team in 2022? Okay, you save $6 million. You still have